In my conversations directly with President Trump and Secretary Noem, I have been abundantly clear with them that Portland and the state of Oregon believe in the rule of law, and we can manage our own local public safety needs.
That was Oregon Governor Tina Kotek this weekend saying she told the Trump administration that her state doesn't need or want American troops deployed in the city of Portland. The Trump administration has gone ahead and ordered those troops deployed anyway, and now the city of Portland and the state of Oregon are pushing back both in court in a lawsuit they filed essentially instantly as soon as the deployment order was made, and also in peaceful protests, including at least one major protest this weekend that the governor herself helped lead. Joining us now is Oregon's Democratic Governor Tina Kotek. Governor, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know there's a lot going on, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Rachel. Good to be here.
What do you want the country to understand about the order from the president to deploy troops in your state? What do you understand about what they're going to be doing and what the scope of this sort of impingement on your authority is going to be?
Yeah, well, thank you. First of all, I want people to know that Portland, Oregon is a beautiful, vibrant, successful city. We are not a war zone. I was out there all weekend long. People were out and about, shopping, going to restaurants, going to soccer matches, going to shows. Portland is a beautiful place, and we are not under siege. There's no insurrection here. When the president makes a choice to say, I should have military troops in my state, I push back right away. We were not apprised of the reason for this. When I tried to get that from the president, it was about concerns about safety at a federal facility. And I said, look, law enforcement is on top of it. There's peaceful protests. And if people are getting out of line, they are being held accountable. I continue to not understand what the mission is here, but we don't need military intervention in Portland. And it's just unconscionable. It's nonsensical, has nothing to do with what's actually on the ground here.
I know that you spoke directly with President Trump around the time that he was making this decision, and there's been some reporting about that conversation that suggests that the president might have been basing his decision, or at least basing like his stated grounds for the decision, on some inaccurate or outdated information that he has seen on social media, maybe without understanding that it wasn't current information. Can you help us understand that at all?
Well, that is my concern. You know, that's a challenge, I think, with footage that it becomes evergreen and then you don't know when it was taken. Because when I was speaking with him, he was talking about multiple federal facilities. And I was like, you know, the plywood is down. Downtown Portland is on the mend. We don't have the situation we had 5 years ago. I don't know what he is remembering, but what I do know is that local law enforcement can manage the situation that's related to the peaceful protests that are happening at the federal facility. And I think one of the things I'm so frustrated about is he is calling up the Oregon National Guard over top of my role as commander-in-chief of those troops here in Oregon. The Oregon National Guard, these are private citizens, citizen soldiers, right? They volunteer for this role. They have to come off their jobs, go away from their families to do something that is unclear, undefined, with no strategy of what they're actually trying to solve. It's a waste of taxpayer dollars. And most Oregonians know this makes absolutely no sense.
I know that as part of this lawsuit that the state has filed to try to block this deployment, both Portland Police and Oregon State Police have issued statements, declarations saying they don't need or want federal troops in Portland to deal with protesters, not only from your perspective as the state's governor, but from their perspective as to the relevant law enforcement here. They're saying that federal troops would not help and they don't need it. I'm wondering how that kind of reaction from law enforcement, kind of support for your side of this argument from law enforcement may bolster this case. It seems to me like a really important factor here.
Well, as a responsible governor, I go and ask law enforcement, do you need additional help? Is there something you can't manage? And what I'm hearing is no. We've not had an ask of the Oregon State Police at this point to help even the Portland Police manage the ongoing sporadic demonstrations that are of concern to the federal administration. And when I spoke to Homeland Security Noem and as well as the president, I said, I don't understand what is the concern that we can't manage here. And I think it's really important to point out that the groundswell of support, or at least the opposition to the deployment. Business leaders, we had business leaders at our press conference saying, look, this is not what downtown Portland needs. We're on the rise. You're sending the wrong message. We have mayors across the greater Portland area saying, we stand with Portland. There's not an issue here. And if there is mutual aid opportunities if that's the case. So I'm perplexed. I'm frustrated. I don't understand this. And we're fighting in the courts, right? The attorney general and I are at lockstep. He went to court the day we got the order. I was hoping we'd get some more time to actually talk this through, but the president just came out on a Sunday morning and said, our troops, you're going to take your troops and they're coming to town. That is not how we should do this. This is not what our country should look like. And when I was on the protest in the demonstration line yesterday, walking with the mayor, we value our ability as Americans, as Oregonians, to express our concern about this administration. And people are going to continue to do that lawfully. We can keep people safe and have lawful demonstrations. And that's what we want to do here. And we do not need the help of the federal administration.
Oregon's Democratic Governor Tina Kotek. Governor, thank you so much for your time this evening. I know it's a stressful time right now to have the job that you have, but I really appreciate you helping us understand it. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Have a good one.